Welcome to the Nerd Party.
I'm Darren Moser.
I'm Philip Gilfus.
I'm Daniel Prue.
And this is City Alpha 3.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to City Alpha 3, a Star Trek podcast here on the Nerd Party Network. I'm your host, Daniel Prue, and joining me, as always, are my two friends, Darren and Philip. Guys, how was your Star Trek week?
Pretty good. Prodigy has ended with a really good mid-season finale. It was really, really enjoyable, the last two episodes. So I can't wait for more, for it to come back.
Was there a tease, perhaps, for something coming in the future? I haven't seen it. I haven't watched her. Was it a cliffhanger? Or
yes,
was
it's
it
always
just...
a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
It was. I know you don't mind being spoiled, so and people who have seen it, we're about to spoil it, but you're probably watching already. But just in the last, the story sort of ends, kind of, and then you just go to a Starfleet bridge, and someone's like, "We're detecting the breeding again." Yeah, and it's like, this is the third time, and then you just hear a very familiar voice going, "All right," and you see Admiral Janeway, and she's like,
"Okay,
all right, we're coming to get you, Chakotay." So she's on the Dauntless,
the USS Dauntless,
which is her command ship, and but they set it up as one of those, we want the characters to get back to Starfleet, but they don't realize that is going to actually cause problems.
It's a Discovery level problem.
Yeah. But I think it was really well done because it makes you concerned about their future. So, and it's, it also presents it's not as easy as, just go home, because that's the easy out. So we'll see what happens. But I know I'm glad we're not done. We don't have to wait a ton of time, just a couple of months probably until it comes back.
Yeah. Well, we know now, right? We have to wait for Discovery to finish up now at this point?
Yep.
Isn't that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
computer, pull up the list. I don't know. I don't remember the list.
Pull up the schedule.
It is, to refresh. It's Discovery, then Picard. Picard, I think, will start about a week, earlier before Discovery ends.
Right. They have overlap now.
Yeah,
it's just you don't accidentally unsubscribe for 1 week. Got to have overlap.
But that is to say, it'll be Discovery and Picard we have to wait for if you're just a Prodigy fan, and then I think Prodigy after that. I think.
Okay. And I knew Picard is the beginning of March, right? The first week of March, the 3rd or something like that.
March the 5th, because right after Star Wars Day.
Oh, that's true. I do remember that, thinking that. And then we did get we probably talked about this last week, but we did at least get a date now for Strange New Worlds. I think it's May 5th. It's off the top of my head, but I'd never seen a date before. I mean, I'd seen,
Oh, sorry. That's what I was thinking of. I was thinking of May 5th because that's Star Wars Day, not March 5th. What am I saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, something is happening on May 5th. Yeah. I believe it is Strange New Worlds, but
I like to think, I'm sure that because it's a Thursday, I'm sure it's an actual Thursday because everything's Thursday in Star Trek, but I'd like to think they were going to do let's do May 4th, and someone's like, I don't think, we can't.
Don't want to be that guy.
We don't want to be.
We really just shouldn't.
Yeah.
Let's not.
It's kind of an interesting... position right now in terms of Star Trek versus Star Wars, because they're both right now, primarily TV-based.
They are.
Streaming-based properties. And so it is interesting to see, because Star Wars is... I don't know if they have the same number of shows at this point as Star Trek, but it seems like pretty close, I would say.
Are you talking about in history or active?
No.
I was going to say, there's no doubt.
I'm talking about as the franchises exist right now, they're just streaming content. You know what I mean?
True.
There's no movies in either camp. I mean, maybe there's a Star Wars.
Rumors in both.
Yeah. And rumors for both, for sure. But right now it's primarily just what they got on the streaming platforms. So.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right. I think, there's only
Mandalorian,
technically
Boba Fett.
Oh, well, you mean that are actively coming out this year? Yeah. I think we're gonna get Kenobi this year, so that would be
Strange New Worlds,
3 shows this year. We'll have Boba Fett, Mandalorian. Well, Boba Fett's ending now, and then Mandalorian, and then. Obi-Wan. So yeah, so 3.
So in a minute or less, Darren, how's Boba Fett been going? I've been hearing about some
I don't
people
know.
popping up on there.
I'm curious to know whether I should watch, because I've heard obviously their connections in the past couple of 2 episodes, but I'm like, do I need to watch it or?
I think you would enjoy. I have been enjoying it. It's the finale is this week, so the last episode 7. But yeah, I've been really enjoying it. The last 2 episodes definitely featured Boba Fett less, but they're kind of establishing that we're all kind of in this same world. Like, you're going to see more crossovers. You're going to see, we're progressing the same story that the Mandalorian started, and that will probably also be continued with the Ahsoka series when it airs. So is it like the Baby Yoda saga? Is that what it is? Or yeah, in a way. I mean, I'd say the first half of Boba Fett covers a lot of where has he been, how did he come back, what's he doing now, and then then Mando shows up, and we start to pull on those threads of like, well, what's he been doing? And that kind of, I think, caught people a little off guard, where they loved it, but they were like, we did not expect this in this show. And I think it's the story pains of trying to establish a different type of story where you are in this connected universe and you're going to go back and forth, versus, no, this character can't be here because it's this person's show. It's like, it's not really that kind of world anymore, but people aren't used to that. So it's a little bit. It's like
Buffy
abrasive.
would show up once a year in Angel. I mean,
yeah, exactly. I mean, we've seen crossover events before, Hercules and Xena and, all sorts of other stuff. But I think with it being only a 7-episode series, when 2 of your episodes, Boba Fett is like, in it for about 5 minutes total between the 2, that feels different, but not in a bad way, because they're great episodes. So it depends on what you're wanting out of this show. I think the finale is going to be amazing. And a lot of Filoni loved characters coming back. And it's going to be good.
Now, is Boba Fett limited, or is there potential for season 2?
I don't recall. It might be getting a season 2, but I don't remember at this point. If so, it probably would not be for a little while, because it's been a few years since Mando season 2. It's been like at least 2 years. So we're ready for some more Mando content.
Now, just briefly, I have been in my Picard season 1 rewatch. Not super fast. I think I just finished it.
Has anybody died yet, Philip?
Probably. Like, I mean, I'm on episode 3 or 4, but like one thing, and I mean, I was gonna say this isn't a complaint, but it clearly is. It's just very different because, I remember Discovery used to be like, oh, these are chapters, and we sort of rolled our eyes at it. But like Picard is really a chapter, in as much as that, especially, watching it, not weekly, and I have the power to binge it. But like, it's not a story. I mean, that's a critique. It's not, because there's no like conflict. It's just like stuff happens. Like, it is literally, each episode's a chapter. And so I'm kind of like, as I'm just sitting there watching it and like credits roll, I'm like, oh, that was short. Like it seems very short. Like, it seems like I'm watching Prodigy. Like, it's like, was that 20 minutes? Like, was this a whole hour or 45 minutes? Like, so like, watch the next one. I mean, we haven't really, because like, we've just assembled the crew, and I think it's episode 3 or 4. Like, we've just engaged. That's not a criticism, but I'm like, I know there's only 10 episodes, so I'm like, they're gonna have to like pick up the pace.
Would you say, it's kind of struggling? Because I kind of felt this when watching it before. It kind of struggled trying to tell a season-long arc, but also be an episodic, a little more episodic, but also it's only so many episodes, so you're trying to tell a big story in like 10 episodes. Like, it's really hard to pull all those things off at the same time.
Like, it really, in a good way, like 20 episodes. Like, I mean, because of course I know it's going to happen, but I'm still in the, like, they're introducing, and so the concepts of, the Borg ship.
There's so much potential still.
And the
that hasn't been unrealized.
And then the Romulans. And
spoilers.
And then, like, it's so, I'm like, I mean, like, they're building up all this, and you're like, wow. And then they just got the, Raffi's just like, yo, let's go to wherever that place, stupid place it's called, Free. Free city, free base, whatever the heck it's called. So like they finally know a place to go. And I do love, because I'd forgotten that we got introduced. Our first Rios was the Rios hologram. I'd forgotten that we got the hologram
right.
straight away. So, and then we've already seen 2 in that first episode. We saw like the EMH, and then we saw like the Khan hologram. Like one was English, one was Irish. It was cool. But anyway, love the holograms.
Yeah, Rios is a highlight for sure.
He is.
But you know what? Speaking of Picard and crossover characters, guys, guess what I watched this week?
What did you watch?
I watched Deep Space Nine, the episode titled Defiant.
It was about the ship, just about the ship.
It is about the heist of the ship. It's the stealing of the USS Defiant.
Just wait, Daniel. What? There's a little something on the side of your cheek. Is that a?
Wait, you're not Daniel
sideburn?
at all.
Oh my goodness! Yes, so we watched.
I mean, greatest reveal of all time. I mean, it's so good.
It's someone that didn't watch DS9 live, so I missed. I wasn't watching, and so I'm sure by the time I watched, I probably knew. But that is an episode where you do wish you could take out your memory and watch it.
Well, okay, so I can tell you because I was watching it with my girlfriend, and she was shocked when Riker showed up. She was shocked when Riker showed up. Oh, Riker. So excited.
Okay.
But when the reveal happened, it meant nothing to her. Because all that happens is he takes out his sideburns. And you don't, if you have no context for that, then...
He's just being creepy.
It's just like the
next
music.
scene, does he say, like, I'm Thomas? Like, does he
They
actually
go into it,
clarify
yes, yeah.
Okay.
There's a scene
but
where...
that moment is really only for fans who know.
Exactly.
Well, even then, at the time... I mean, now I'm trying to retcon having, if you're he wouldn't be like, why is Riker being weird? Like, you wouldn't think that's obviously Thomas, because Thomas didn't have a goatee last time we saw him. So you're like,
yeah. So
I mean,
it's
very Star Trek. The evil twin has the goatee, so it's a little bit of mirror.
I always thought William was the evil twin. If I had to choose, I'm kidding.
Well, we'll talk about that because I had you guys go back and rewatch Second Chances because I had to go back and rewatch Second Chances to give some context to that moment. And I thought it'd be fun. Something to do, just to dig deep into one episode of classic Star Trek. Because, we're constantly talking about new stuff here. So it'd be nice just to go back, watch a nice old season 6 episode of TNG and just kind of dig into it.
What season DS9 was this? I'm trying to
Defiant. We're season 3, so...
So, because I'm trying to remember, DS9 started beginning of season 6 TNG, right?
Yes.
And this is the season 6 episode. So I'm trying to get the timeline. So
they're probably like 2 or 3 years apart.
Okay, yeah. All right.
Yeah, it was 2 years. They already mentioned that.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, the scene where they explain who Thomas Riker is really funny because it's Cisco giving a briefing to Ducat. And he's basically recapping the events of Second Chances.
Ducat's probably being like, what smoke are you trying to blow? This doesn't make any sense.
Previously.
He goes, it's really funny because he goes, this is a great story, Commander. I don't know why you're telling me about transporter clones and all this nonsense. And then Cisco drops the bomb of oh, he has the Defiant. So, and he's a Maquis member.
and Ducat's kind of like, you should have led with that, Cisco. But
look, I just want first thing I want you to know, Ducat, don't blame Starfleet. That's it. Don't blame.
I would have laughed if he queued it up on the PowerPoint screen and it was previously on Star Trek The Next Generation.
Dun, dun, dun.
And it just is the little clips from the show.
Does DS9 not have that the battle does not have the console that the Enterprise D Battle Bridge has, the recap the episode screen?
That's a very important screen.
Oh, man. So we will talk, I'm sure, a little bit about Defiant and Thomas Riker's ultimate destiny, but I want to focus mostly on Second Chances, talk about it as an episode and what we think about the concepts. I found out some really interesting background stuff that I'd like to really talk about as well. But overall, Darren, we'll throw it to you first. What do you think about Second Chances as an episode? Do you like it? If you had to rate it, what would you give it? Out of whatever.
I mean, I wanted to ask you first something. I know you really do not like it when actors play other parts of their lineage. And I was wondering, does Thomas Riker get a pass being a direct copy of Will Riker, or is he, I mean, not that you would really have anybody else play him, but is that still in the good graces?
No, Thomas Riker, absolutely. Thomas Riker and Lore, for the same reason, actually work for the same actor to play those characters. And just really quickly, because I wanted to bring it up at some point in the discussion, but this is a perfect place for it. When Data's having his conversation with Worf, and he's like, do you think you would find it difficult to get along with your identical, copy or whatever? And I'm like, Data, you have Lore. You know how difficult it is to get along with someone who's not exactly like you, of course, but
to be sure, Lore is technically his older brother, not his.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously, it's a little different with an artificially created. But to answer your question, Darren, Thomas and William Riker, literally the same person up until 8 years before this incident. They should look identical, or essentially identical, and obviously be played by the wonderful Jonathan Frakes. So yeah, I think.
So Darren, I find it odd you say Thomas is the copy. How do you know William isn't the copy? I mean, that's really centric of you to assume that.
That's really prime timelininess of me. Yeah, no. But no, I like this episode. It's the double. We've seen this episode also in Star Trek several times. I mean, there's the one where Kirk is split in two, and we talked about Lore, and so there are other times where, I mean, heck, technically, it's to a different degree, but like most mirror episodes are this principle of meeting your other self. Now that's a little more extreme than this one. This is more of the road not taken story, which I think, but I like this episode. I think it's, it's season 6, they're all pretty seasoned. I know, terrible thing to say, in their characters. And he gives a really good performance on both sides. Like, it doesn't feel like he's being the same person. He feels like he's acting two different ways. It helps that apparently he transferred from operations division to command division, so it's a little easier to tell them apart with the
Are you playing Yellow Riker or Red Riker? Just
yeah. But yeah, no, I like this episode. I also like the fact that technically, the technical challenge of doubling someone, they do masterfully. Like, I never feel like they're not both in the room at the same time. And I like how it's not just about Will and Thomas. It's also about Deanna. Like, she's a major part of this episode and revisiting those feelings. But I like how it comes full circle where he's also given an opportunity for and he takes it because at the core he's still the same person, and it makes a lot of sense. So, but yeah, I need to watch Defiant again because I need to watch that Ducat briefing scene where he's just like, "This is a great story, Commander. Like, why? Tell me why I should care." But yeah,
it was a great scene. And just talking about Deanna, when I was doing the background research, turns out that the script, or not the script, but the concept was almost rejected, but they retooled it to focus mostly on their relationship, which I think a lot of people enjoyed. And I think, like you do, a lot of interesting stuff comes out of that. Philip, you've asked me many, many times about the relationship between Deanna and Riker, and William, I should say. And I think a lot of that stuff is laid out pretty clearly here. Specifically the conversation that William has with Deanna about Thomas, when he says, you don't need my permission to be with him. It's kind of such a weird concept.
Okay, their relationship is just all sorts of messed up.
But anyways,
it really is.
That aside, Philip, what do you think of the episode as well?
No, I really liked, because obviously I know the episode, but I think probably haven't watched it in a while, because I think there were times in the episode that, and again, like you said, season 6, I was a little surprised it was that late, but I guess I shouldn't be, but also directed by LeVar Burton, just to throw that out there. there were times that in a good way, how things were slow. Like, there is no real conflict in this episode. I mean, there really isn't. Other than a double of yourself, but it's not like he's trying to kill you. There's no, other than like, we got to retrieve the data, but like, it's such a light conflict that they can take their time with the relationship scenes and, do the, what's it called? Do the little search, of Deanna, across the ship, finding Thomas.
Oh, yeah.
It's all very cute, and they took and at other times they don't take times with stuff, which choices have to be made because like I feel like we didn't really get a lot of check-in with Will about his reaction because he's being kind of an ass. I mean, I understand as a commanding officer kind of how he's treating Thomas, but he is kind of being a little bit of an ass to him. And I would have liked to get some feedback about, and we get a little bit of that, with Data and Worf as we said in the side conversation. You may see the things you don't like about yourself, and so I'm curious more about what Will thought about this whole thing, because I mean it's not only Thomas pursuing Deanna. I mean it's that you're not a unique individual. I mean, that's kind of weird. And then,
which is really hard for humans to process. Mm-hmm. Like, we don't do well with that.
So,
yeah, which they touch on, which Data and Worf touch on a little bit of like, people like to think they're unique, and what if someone comes along that is you basically. But yeah, I wanted to also bring up, because you mentioned it, Philip, when they had a lot of time, they had a lot of breathing room. I feel like most of the cast had one scene. Like, Geordi shows up for one scene. Beverly shows up for one scene. I think Picard's only in one, maybe two scenes. And it's like the one scene between Data and Worf. And it's like almost entirely
everyone had
Deanna,
that paycheck,
and Riker. And it's so it is kind of a smaller story. Like you said, the stakes aren't huge. But I wanted to ask, Phil, because you brought it up, who do you think is being the bigger jerk? Do you think it's Will, or do you think... Because they're both kind of being... like, they're in the poker scene, when Thomas gets all pouty and then just walks out of the room, I'm like, come on, man. Like, come on. Like, I get it. It's been a long time since you've been with people, but that's a little much.
Well, and I think that's... I mean, it was funny to me. That's both a long scene and a short scene, because it's this long scene. Everyone makes their bed, and so but at the end, and it's like, you've had all the chances beforehand, but like that's something that needed to be explored. Like I get what he's saying. It's a shorthand. They're saying we want Thomas to express this, but we don't have a whole scene to make a meal out of it. So blah, he said the word. It's telling, not showing, I guess. Which is, but I think Thomas gets some slack. Because he's, trauma might not be the right word, but we'll go with it. He's suffering trauma, because, because this episode takes its time, it's basically saying, like, dude, man, take it easy. And the only reason he's kind of put back in action, hand quotes, is because we got this mission, which he's more than happy to, be useful again.
Oh, yeah. Normally he'd be sent off to, like, recuperate immediately. There's no way they'd put him back in action. Yeah. Like, even they talk about that, like, so you want to put him back in the place where he has the potential to be trapped again for another 8 years. Like that, that's a hard call to make.
I was waiting for because I couldn't remember it, and I was mixing up this and Best of Both Worlds. I was waiting for his for Will's Shelby-like reaction. You don't go over me or through me,
That really gets his goat, man. You do not want to do that with Riker.
I kind of laugh. I would love. I mean, it would have been a tiny scene, but it would have been funny if, like, as soon as they get back to the ship, Will like goes into his room and resets his command codes just in case. Like, I can't remember if I had these same command codes 8 years ago, but let's just computer. It's time for an update.
By the way, just a quick pause, because doing some math earlier about this episode in DS9, this episode made me do some quick math. Will went warp speed in promotions. He was a lieutenant. This was 4 years ago, 5 years ago, when he got stranded.
And remember when he was an ensign on the Pegasus.
Like,
so I wanted to talk about this
really fast.
I wanted to bring this up. I'm glad you guys went there. Because I think we have more of a service history of Will Riker than any other character in Star Trek. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure. So can we reconstruct from memory? Mm-hmm. Don't cheat, Karen, if you're looking at that.
From memory.
I want to. Like, what are all the ships he's served on?
Well, the first one was the Prometheus. Or excuse me, I keep saying that. The Pegasus.
Pegasus.
That was his first ship.
Then Potemkin now, right, is what we find out.
No, Oh, what? Yes.
Potemkin is the one they're talking about in this episode.
Right.
That's where the beam out incident occurred.
And
the
then,
Pegasus would have not have been his first ship.
No. It was.
Well, the first one we know of because he was an ensign.
Yeah, he's baby. Because I want to say it was his first assignment. That's why he was so like.
Oh, yes, you're right.
Captain.
Okay, yep, you're right. Okay, so Pegasus.
He's like, I was a bold-faced ensign, and I grabbed that phaser and defended my captain.
Yeah, it's smoother
so
than
Pegasus, then
Potemkin.
Potemkin.
And then I guess Hood has to be next, right?
I don't remember. Was he on the Hood?
Yeah, that was in Encounter at Farpoint. He's coming off the Hood as.
Oh, I didn't know that he was like stationed on the Hood.
Yeah, I think he was like the former first officer because remember it was.
Okay.
That's when Picard when in fact in the Pegasus episode when Picard's talking with the Admiral, I chose my first officer as this young kid from the Hood. And because Captain DeSoto of the Hood is the one he Riker.
Oh yes.
But I mean, because he goes from Potemkin as a lieutenant, and I don't know how senior of a lieutenant he was, but I mean, he gets, according to this episode, Second Chances, they say he got promoted after this incident.
It says, I'm just looking it up because
that's fine.
It says he received a promotion to lieutenant commander for exceptional valor during this mission. So he went straight from lieutenant to lieutenant commander, and then he was the commanding officer on the Hood with Captain DeSoto.
Yeah,
so he must have been. So he would have been commander at that point.
Yeah,
when he probably got transferred to the Hood, I'm sure it was a promotion. It was probably like
it says Will Rocker was promoted to commander and first officer of the newly launched Enterprise D. So he was because lieutenant commander is right before commander, right?
Right. Yeah.
So he was lieutenant commander on the Hood. So basically, that's where he got posted after he got his promotion, and then he got promoted to commander of the Enterprise D.
But I think isn't there something in the canon that he was almost offered a ship before getting the Enterprise?
He was
as a lieutenant commander, he's getting offered a ship, and then he's getting offered a ship again a year later after taking the command of the Enterprise, or after
same year he was offered
the Ares.
He was offered the Drake. Well, sorry, he was offered the Drake the same year he was offered the Enterprise.
Uh-huh.
He turned it down.
And then a year later, he gets the Ares offer.
Enterprise. Yeah, dude, they love Riker.
And then 2 years after that, he gets the other offer for the
Melbourne.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We just keep pulling out the chair.
But you know what he does? He would have died many times if he had sat down in that chair. Besides the Enterprise,
that's true. But to be fair, he does say in this episode that his goal was to be a captain by 35 years old. So. That's a seasoned age, I think. But
and I think that's interesting, at least in as much as it is, that Thomas doesn't understand. I mean, again, we got to imply this because it's not said out loud, but that doesn't understand that because there's even a slight line. We don't get like Best of Both Worlds regurgitated, but we get Will saying, I think it was during the poker game, I'm happy with where I am. Because I'm sure Thomas is looking at him going like, why are you still a commander? Or even offered? Because even when Will and Thomas are chatting about his dad, Thomas is like, I'm with Dad. I don't understand why you didn't take, that ship when it was offered. And so I think he doesn't understand that Will is in a, seasoned, secure, safe place or whatever.
I mean, I know it would have been much trickier to shoot, but I kind of wish Thomas had gone no beard. I think it would have made a major difference in the look between the two. I mean, I know that'd be very difficult to pull off. You'd probably have to do like a fake beard on actual Riker because you'd have to shoot the shots pretty much simultaneously, not just wardrobe change and slight hairstyling. But I think that would have really driven home the difference. Like they would have looked really different.
I was thinking they could, instead of doing that, because that would probably be real challenging, I would think like just a fake scar on Tom Riker, like across his face or something.
Why is it got to be a scar on the face, man? Wow, that's
like he doesn't have medical people to I cut my face. No, I can only do.
When I was making this beautiful plate for you, Diana, I cut my face with the phaser. Hope you are happy.
Some of my blood's in there. Yeah. Of course, unfortunately, knowing because this is, as you said, Darren, the special effects double. Like, could I even think about later Trek? when in the Voyager episode when the Janeways split, when the entire crew split, and the two Janeways, it's not, you can tell it's clear green screen when they're talking to each other. But like this one, I mean, they maybe because it's more practical, maybe because they couldn't have
It's more optical difference.
maybe because I don't know if green screen technology was quite where it was, and didn't want to use it, and so they had to more.
It was probably mostly done with like dividing the frame, where it's not so much green screen; it's just compositing the two locked off camera shots. Like they're standing at the pool table, and they're on the left and right side. Well, sorry, I meant in engineering. Yeah, the Master Systems display. But.
But actually, the pool table scene is interesting because sometimes, like, to do it like you're saying, Darren, with the split frame, it's pretty easy to do generally. But a lot of times,
over the shoulder reverse shot, where it's a double, and
a lot of times though that they like to push those boundaries. So I'm thinking of the scene when they're actually playing pool, and Will goes all the way around the table to move his trombone to move Thomas can sit down to the pool table, and that was really well done. Yeah, poker. No, sorry, he said pool. Now it's in my head. The only time I
don't remember there being a pool table in this episode.
That was Voyager.
The only time I was pulled out was during the climax on the bridge when it was clearly not the same person. Like the double was the one.
When you say bridge, I was like, I don't think they were on the bridge. Oh, you meant the bridge.
The bridge. Like Generations the bridge.
Yeah, the Kirk dying bridge. Yeah. Bridges have killed many people in Star Trek.
Well, I was again looking in Memory Alpha on this episode, and they did say that they were toying with the idea of killing off Will Riker and Thomas Riker taking over the role. And I'm like, that would actually be really interesting. Like, I think there would be some backlash, but that's actually a really interesting concept.
Ron Moore talks about that. That was the one thing I really wanted to talk about. He also says that they would have made Data first officer.
Which, win-win right there.
In red.
And then...
yeah, that's right. Put him at the helm.
Yeah.
And that would... I really kind of want to see that. Like, it actually really sounds interesting.
I think that sounds awesome. And he's like, we wanted to, be bold and stuff. And obviously they didn't go through with it. But I think, what do you guys think about that idea? Maybe we could actually take that as a topic for like a whole, end of the series rewrite sort of thing. But
that's what I think we should do. Is I was just going to look it up, but I think you're right. Better as a better topic. But let's look at all of the episodes after Second Contact and how would they have been handled differently with Data as the number one.
Yeah,
because we see anytime that Riker went and
Steven
did something,
7 wasn't great, so probably not a lot. But anyway,
we don't need to go over like masks or anything like that.
Would that have or Gambit? Like, would that have been different?
The Gambit would be interesting.
Would Data have been captured and then like a plucky Lieutenant Riker is trying to save him? I don't know.
You'd have to go over the episodes, but it would be interesting. And I think that's a neat topic to talk about if they were like you're not pretty close to maybe implementing it, but at least considering
and remember,
the idea.
This was episode, I want to say 24.
Yeah, it's quite near the end
of season 6. So it would have literally just been
season 7. Yeah,
season 7.
But one thing I did want to echo, I mean, you talked about it, but watching this episode, and then I thought about. There's not many. I thought about all the Troi episodes in TNG, but like Deanna Marina, like does a great job. Like I'm watching this episode going like, why didn't we have more Troi episodes? Because I'm really engaged with her, and you learn more about her character, and you learn a little bit more about their relationship. Which I mean, I don't think Will comes off very well in this telling. Because it kind of seemed like it was a mutual thing, and like no, Will just jetted, and she was left crying the whole time. But yeah, I was really thought she did a real good job.
Yeah, she did fantastic. The one thing about the two different versions of the story that if you look too far into it, or if I was going to look too far into it to nitpick, he basically leaves her right at that same, because both Will and Thomas are aware of their meeting on were they meeting on Risa?
I think it was Beta Z.
They were going to meet on Beta Z. Like in a month or two, or
but anyway,
whatever.
They're going to meet somewhere.
They were going to meet, And then Riker he doesn't get to go, and then they break up shortly thereafter. So I gotta think Thomas was aware of Riker's feelings at that point. Like, he must have known in the back of his mind that maybe that was a possibility at some point. But I guess again, when you say that there's 8 years of solitude, then that could change your perspective for sure.
He also seems to be doing pretty well after 8 years of solitude. Like, that's the biggest kind of stretch in this episode. Like, I think he would be a little more big beard crazy Riker.
5 years, 5 years, but still.
No, I thought it was 8 years.
I don't think it was that, because I remember thinking, like, it's not very long considering between him getting his promotion and everything. Well,
it was. I'm pretty sure it's 8 years.
Well, you're right, because we're in season 6. So it already has
and
to
they
be
do
6.
say
yes,
but still,
the next.
You're right.
And they say the next transport window would be in 8 years. So I think it's implied that it was 8 years since the last one.
Because again, I will
say,
thinking how quick it was. Of like 8 years. I'm like, we're in season 6, so he's 2 years before the Enterprise. Goodness, sorry, that's what got me on the whole promotion track.
Oh, the promotion thing.
2 years.
I will say too, the one thing, not to detract from like what we mentioned with Deanna earlier, Philip, but maybe get someone else to counsel him.
She's the only counselor in the quadrant.
It seems pretty inappropriate for her when he's still in love with her and all that sort of stuff. So it's just like, maybe somebody else should probably talk to him. He probably should have a scene with another character or something like that. But
well, and I again, we'll talk about it probably next week, but I did look it up. Actually, this was not the last episode. Seasons were a bit longer back in the TNG era. There's 2 more episodes after this. There is Descent was the finale, and Timescape. So Timescape and then Descent post Thomas Riker on the scene.
But talking about the differences, Descent, not that it would be that different, but you have the first officer of the Enterprise being involved in the shenanigans with Descent. But then I was just thinking, in season 7, not that it would really change anything, but it would be kind of cool, blowing your mind. You have parallels in season 7, and so we're getting used to this Thomas Riker, and then in parallels you get Will Riker again. You know,
that would be cool. Yeah,
and you're like, oh, they remember.
Well, and I was trying to remember, because I don't remember exactly which book it was, but there was a book. It wasn't Ship of the Line. It was another book that I've read. But that Thomas Riker does show up in, and he's like Starfleet intelligence, and it's kind of cool because it's like definitely I remember the scene. I don't remember exactly what happens, but it feels like one of those TV scenes where all of a sudden, it's like revealed, and then Thomas Riker steps in, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's Thomas Riker! Like, this is gonna be so fun. And it's very much like Mission X team, like those people who have nothing to live for, and like he's working
Suicide
for Starfleet
Squad.
Intelligence, but because he's like a convicted felon, so
Now, Daniel,
he has no choice.
Just because I didn't watch The Defiant, obviously, did you think it made sense? Like, because I'm sure you watched it out of order, but does like Thomas in the Second Chances seem like the same Thomas in Defiant?
Well, kinda. They don't really go into his motivation. There's a scene at the end when Kira is trying to convince him, like, to stop, to surrender, essentially, and she says, if this isn't about the Cardassians or the not neutral zone, but the
A demilitarized zone.
The demilitarized zone. It's not about those colonists. This is about the other guy out there with your face. And Thomas turns to her and says, you shouldn't go fishing all the time, or something like that. But it's obviously a dig at, like, maybe that's why he's doing this. I don't know. It's because it's 2 years, essentially, since we've seen Thomas Riker. I don't know.
Ganges must have sucked, man.
It leaves him in a weird place, and then they never pick it up again.
The weird they said, they pronounced Gandhi. It sounded like the Ganges when I heard it, but it's the Gandhi, I think is what it was.
Yeah. So it's weird. Like, Cisco, negotiates for him to go to prison instead of get the death sentence by default, and so they leave it open. But of course, they never pick it up again. Unfortunately, sounds like some of the books do. But I don't know. I think it's a really cool setup. Using Thomas Riker in that episode to steal the Defiant is cool. I don't know. Cool. I don't know that it makes sense that he would be a Maquis. I don't. I don't know.
Well, in some of the books, I think they show that, when he became a Maquis, he was part of like Chakotay and B'Elanna's cell. Like,
oh, really?
Yeah. Because, there can't be any other cell we talked about.
And Paris?
And Tuvok?
And Paris.
Well, Paris wasn't.
He was in the Maquis for like a day. That's how he knew Chakotay, yeah.
But
But both doubles, really. I mean, let's be honest. Paris is a double.
yeah, that's true. Okay, and I know we'll talk about it. I think this is going to be our topic next week, is talking more of season 7 with Thomas. But oh my gosh, you guys, the Pegasus is a season 7 episode. Like,
you could still do it.
Oh, yeah.
You can still do it. It'd just be have to.
No, I know, but like that's going to
true.
be really.
That would be
that's
weird.
That's going to be really weird.
That would be. Maybe it wouldn't change much at all. I'd have to.
I mean, the power dynamic's
Maybe
slightly
he'd be-
different. Lieutenant versus the XO, but still.
Yeah.
Well, but I think it would also be Riker or Thomas would be angrier, because I don't think he is moved. Like in the beginning of the episode, Riker's very much like, I'm still loyal to you. And I'm like, would there still be that loyalty for Thomas after what he's been through, and not the maturing of rank and those 8 years? I don't know.
What about how would Picard? This is all stuff.
I know.
I know. Yeah. Well, you know what? I'll save that for next week, because
wait, then that means now we have to rewrite the ending. Oh, these are the voyages, because now it's Commander Riker.
There's some things
Or
that
Lieutenant,
we're
not-
Lieutenant Commander Riker.
These are the voyages.
Lieutenant Riker doing the holodeck program to figure out what he's going to do.
Well, I mean, technically, this plot would also undo the Defiant, because there is no Will Riker for him to impersonate.
Right.
It's like, Will, you're back from the dead. It's. But anyway, no. Well, I think I like that idea. We'll get into that next week. But yeah, I was more just like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize
And
that
Lieutenant
Pegasus
Riker
was
appears
season
in
7.
the Voyager episode Death Wish
That's
What?
right.
with Q.
Yeah.
He that's a Lieutenant Riker? I don't remember that.
Well, it has to be.
It would be.
Oh, I
You have to retro because Riker's been in every
Okay.
single. So in Picard, we have.
Thomas and with Thomas. Okay, we'll talk about it next week.
Whoa.
Because by the way,
Or heck,
that makes more
First
sense
Contact,
that they got
First
married
Contact.
versus Will.
All the movies.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we got a lot to talk about
Again,
next
it
week.
would change a lot of things.
Not just
It
season
probably
7.
wouldn't-
I know.
it probably
You're
wouldn't
right.
change
You're right.
Much too. On the other hand. So anyways, okay, we'll talk about that next week. All right, what else do we want to cover? Anything else in Second Chances that we didn't talk about?
I mean, I just very briefly, just because when I saw Burton's name, I was kind of then paying attention a little bit more to how the episode looked. He did make, I mean, or the cinematographer, but anyway, he made some different choices about scenes that we always see. And I can't even think of examples, but I don't know whether it was the observation lounge or there was
like different types of angles.
yeah. So we hadn't seen it, so I could tell that maybe it was a new person or he wanted to bring something different. I don't know if this was his first directing of Star Trek or not. I assume they started letting people play in the last 2 seasons. But I did notice that.
Is there a scene on the bridge in this episode? Nothing jumps out to me.
Yeah, there has to be, because I know the trivia question about the only episode without anything on the bridge is Family.
Oh, okay.
Looking it up, this was his first directing debut on Next Gen, and then he also did the Pegasus. So he really likes directing
Rikers.
Jonathan Frakes. So, and then he did 10 episodes of DS9, 8 episodes of Voyager, and 9 episodes of Enterprise. So, man, he's
And 500 episodes of Reading Rainbow.
I mean, you're not wrong.
All right. Yeah, I don't know. Not really like much. Oh, my goodness. We also did forget to talk about, this is the episode with Mae Jameson.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's right. That's right.
So that was cool. I was like, oh, hey, look.
Dr.
I was like,
Mae Jameson.
Yes. Excuse me. You're right. Doctor.
Astronaut Doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I'd forgotten, because I heard her on a recent podcast I was listening to, that she's not only an astronaut, she's also a medical doctor. And so I was like, wow.
Yeah, a very accomplished woman. She plays the transporter chief. And Nichelle Nichols visited the set to talk with her while they were filming. So real cool stuff. I think she was probably maybe instrumental in actually getting her involved. But Cool
I mean,
stuff.
the fact that LeVar Burton is directing and Michelle Nichols is available, like I feel like this is
doing some good
it's
stuff.
not too much of a coincidence, but
And just I can't remember what it was, by the way, but Dr. Jameson's doing something now. Is heading up some effort about like, mission to Mars or something like that. I can't remember, but anyway, look it up. Google. She has some effort that she's heading up now. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. So, final thoughts about Tom's. Well, final thoughts for this week, I guess it sounds like for
pausing
Thomas
our
Riker.
thoughts till next week.
Or just on second chances in general. I want to squeeze a rating out of you guys because it's fun.
No, I really like it. It's a good episode. It doesn't really feel cliche. I feel like there's enough meat on his character, and doing it in late season 6. Like, I don't know if this would have worked in like season 2 or 3. It would have been too early with the character. But these are great episodes the longer you go into it. I mean, even, again, we compare it to like Lore and Data, but we get a great Lore Data episode 2 episodes later, a Descent, that is much more. Well, I'm talking about their interactions. Okay. Of Data and Lore, just that, and the
just
fact
because the command center's in the episode, Darren, does not. That's all I'm saying.
I was surprised as you are. The Rangers weren't inside. I don't know where Zordon went, but no, I really like this episode. It's one I hadn't really watched in a while, but really good.
Yeah,
1 out of 10, Darren.
Yay, TNG.
Oh, I'd give it an 8, a good 8.
That's pretty good. All right, what about you, Philip?
Because I think there's so many things, like you said, not being a trope, because I think there's so many things in the episodes that they then recognize, and like, it would have been just one thing if like Deanna just blindly went back to Thomas, but like they discuss beforehand, whether it's her and Beverly or whoever, like, it's probably not a good idea, and this might happen, but then she kind of like, talks about it, and they decide to go for it, and then I think it's also explored, just by the very nature of the end, of Thomas deciding to choose the name Thomas, which Will says that he hates, because then you're exploring that when they separated, it did begin 2 different people, and that theoretically there are enough changes. Well, I mean, there have to be, straight on a planet versus,
right.
a warp 10 Starfleet career, that they are now different people. 2 years, Lieutenant to like XO command. Anyway.
Which is interesting because it makes me think if he had actually stayed on the true and narrow, like Starfleet would have been like, well, hey, Will won't sit down, Thomas. We're going to be promoting you as fast as possible.
I mean, in 2 years, you would have been gotten it anyway. So, I mean,
we need a Riker in the command chair. We don't care who. Just you got to sit down.
Philip, you act like this is unprecedented, but we have seen...
Oh, God. Don't tell me Starfleet Jr. getting promoted to captain.
We have seen a cadet to a captain in one movie, so I don't know...
In the darkest timeline.
But what warp factor would you give it, Philip?
I'm going to give it a 18 out of 10 because it's a 9 and you have to double it. So.
Okay.
Don't make me do math in your rating, Philip.
No, I like the episode too. I think it is very good. It's a slower paced episode. It's a lower stakes episode, and it's really just about exploring kind of like it's not like separated at birth kind of a story, or identical twins separated at birth, or like something like that, or like the Datalore relationship where they're built differently on purpose. It's a really interesting, subtle kind of examination of like, how can just my recent history change who I am as a person? And it's done very, very subtly. I mean, and I like that aspect of it. And I like the Deanna stuff, and I like the relationship stuff, and I think it's good. I think it's... Go ahead, Phil.
I'm just going to say, can I point out, again, because you're like, Philip, why are you going about this Phil Deanna thing? She's being an ass at the beginning of the episode with him. Like, that's not a loving relation. Like, in your request, yeah, the one song you can't do. Can you play that one? And he's like... Seriously?
Freebird. Not Freebird. I don't want to do Freebird.
I thought that was friendly. I
thought that was playful banter.
Yeah, keep doing the...
I thought it was too.
I couldn't think of the right word. I take that as like, I know you very well.
Any other request.
This will get under your skin. But he got saved by the bell, so it's fine. And he actually...
I'm glad to know that saying extends into the 24th century.
Yeah, so I'd give it a 7, probably 7 out of 10. But
it just made me think. I was trying to remember the episode name forever, but Tapestry. Like, it would be interesting if Picard kind of talked to him a little more, because Picard had this experience with Tapestry of the road not traveled with Q. And that would have been interesting to, I don't know how much Picard revealed of the events of that episode, but that would have been a really cool callback to sit with Riker and be like, well, when Q made me believe that I had actually was still a lieutenant because I hadn't made the choices, that would have been really an interesting
conversation. Who do you think he would be in your mind? Who is he having this Picardly conversation with? Is he talking to Will or is he talking to Thomas?
Oh.
Who needs the advice more? Who needs to accept it more?
Oh, interesting.
Oh, that's a really good point. And this is also something that probably he could have done when Thomas was still if Thomas was still in season 7.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think you're right, Thomas, because the end message is seize the day, take the chance. No. Versus where Will kind of did that. And so he wouldn't need to, or I guess I was more thinking of him talking with Will and being like, in those moments, I realized the choices, like more like sympathizing with Thomas of like, I realized, oh my gosh, the choices I didn't take, and I was unhappy with me as a person. So how does Thomas feel now where he's going to be compared to Will for every choice he's made? And it's like he's automatically cast as the reject choice, but he had no choice in that. So
yeah, I mean, like,
that's what I was thinking more of. Like,
in one timeline,
more like, hey, Will, you got to chill. Like, think of how Thomas is feeling about this. That's the angle I was going.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, in one timeline, Riker goes from lieutenant to commander in like 2.5 years. In the other timeline, Picard's like a lieutenant junior grade for 25 years. So like a bit of a difference.
It's like, man. I know exactly what you feel like. It's like, sir, do you really know?
Well, my only
sir, at least I wasn't a blue shirt back then.
My only contention would be that in this episode, Riker makes it very clear that he's very happy. William makes it very clear that he's very happy where he is. So he doesn't need that Tapestry lesson. He's already through the whole series. He's actually come.
But to be empathetic to Thomas, would be the point.
Yeah, so, that's what I more meant. Is
stop
like,
yelling.
Yes, we know Will is. We know Will is happy where he is, but yeah, I like Philip was saying, it's more of I was in that other person's body. This is Picard saying, like, I was having to live the life of the person who didn't get the opportunities that I thought I had, and he's basically like, Will, Will, you need to chill. Like, he's been through this thing, and I know it's strange, and I know they kind of had that conversation, but bring Tapestry into it. I think that would have been really interesting.
And I was also having a best of both worlds flashback when Riker is kind of complaining about
would
Shelby.
Thomas have tried to kill me? Riker? No, just
when Riker's talking to Picard about Shelby and complaining, and John Luke's like, reminds me of a certain lieutenant commander who I recruited, and he's like, maybe.
One quick scene we didn't talk about was the transporter room scene when things keep escalating between Riker and Worf about how mad they are that Thomas hasn't shown up, and like they're like, "You're death to Thomas," and like, and he walks in and he's like, "Guys, I haven't had to wake up, at 8 o'clock in like 8 years, man."
Is totally valid if you think about it.
But anyways,
and one last thing though for this episode, which I thought had not remembered and does strike me kind of as weird, and so that's why Daniel, especially with the Defiant, it would have been totally normal for this, or tropey, for this episode to end that Thomas accepts the assignment to the Gandhi, and Troi realizes, just like Will, this isn't going to work out, and it's that awkward moment of Thomas realizes maybe he is just like what, they don't end it like that. They go like, you know what? Because Thomas is like, so is this the end? And Daniel's like, no. This is totally open-ended. This is totally an open possibility that Thomas and Deanna will still get together. I was like, what? Oh my, that's a choice.
Well, she has a type. You can say that. She She has a type, and it is called Riker.
She has a philosophy of not closing things down with Rikers.
Anyways, that's it for this week. Philip, if people wanted to get a hold of you, how would they find out who your favorite Riker was?
They can find me at NC Public Servant, and the answer is Thaddeus Riker.
All right, Darren, if people wanted to find out what favorite command episode... All right, Darren, if people wanted to find out what your favorite episode that features the command center from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, how would they find you?
Oh, there's so many to choose from, but they can find me at drsci-fi.com, DRSCIFI.
Is that the one with the pig mouth? The pig guy?
It's like the first episode.
And if people wanted to get a hold of me and find out the definitive end to what happens to Thomas Riker, I will tell you, because I'll make something better up than what happened to him on screen. I am at 1UpDan. That's the number 1, not the word. I'm Daniel Prue.
I'm Philip Gilfus.
I'm Darren Moser.
Stranded here on SETI Alpha 3.